Hi guys, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. Today we are really doing a deep dive into why your sales combos are feeling awkward. So hello, if you're just jumping on, tell me where you're watching from. This conversation today is all about why your sales conversations are feeling awkward and really taking a deeper dive to explore what your sales persona is. And so we're here with Facebook, we're here with Instagram. I'm excited to have you guys here. So when I talk about sales calls, I really love being able to help people unpack what is the underlying energetic reason that they're struggling. What is really showing up for them that's causing a disconnect with the way that they are serving their audience. So as you guys are jumping on, tell me where you are watching from. Say hello. Oh, thank you so much. I love your energy. Hey, Kristen. Hey, Tanya Rose. Awesome. We got a little bit of a different setup today because I wanted to make sure that you guys could see what we have going on here. So that being said, we're going to dive in. By the way, if you don't know my name, I'm Jen Casey. I am a brain-based business coach, and I absolutely love teaching sales, specifically sales calls. There is so much incredible power in really learning how to facilitate a transformational sales conversation. When you learn how to do what I'm going to share with you today, when you learn the bigger mistakes that are at play right now in your sales process, you're going to realize why you've been hearing no, why people have been ghosting you, why you're not getting the results that you want to be getting. And so we're going to start here with this, right? So up at the top, we're going to unpack this here. We've got somebody who is fit focused, meaning when they are qualifying their client, they are looking and saying, is this person the right fit for my offer? And at the bottom, we've got somebody who is in their sales call process, making it a really pressured pitch. We've all experienced those, right? And then over here, we have somebody who on their call does not listen, and then somebody who does listen. Now, what's really interesting about this is you're going to get to see the different sales personas. And what I'm going to ask you to do as we're talking through this today is I want you to identify which one resonates most with you, most with the way that you've been showing up on your sales calls to facilitate those conversations, right? So, up here in this top corner, somebody who is fit focused and does not listen. What would we call that person? And let me know in the comments what you, oh, you can't see the left of the board. Hang on, let me move it back over and back it up a little tiny bit. There's a little lag for me over on the Instagrams, so I want to just make sure that we can see the whole board. Okay, so fit focused and does not listen. What would we call that type of salesperson? Any guesses? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to pop over and look at Facebook too and see. Okay. So I call this person the cheerleader. Now, what's interesting about this particular identity is this persona is it's not the worst one to be when you're on a sales call. So the cheerleader really wants to support the person that they're on the call with. They have the best of intentions, right? They have the best of intentions, and they want the person that they are on that call with to succeed. They want them to enroll. It's coming from a good intention. So it's the difference between intention versus impact. You guys are familiar with that, right? Or maybe not. So when somebody has a good intention, it sometimes creates a negative impact. And the cheerleader, what we tend to see with this is they are not really fully listening to the client. They're not validating what that client is saying. So for example, this is how this will manifest. A client will express to the sales call facilitator and say, I'm really scared to make this investment. I'm scared to make this investment, but I feel like it's a good fit for me. instead of validating what they just said and reflecting it back to them, they'll be like, oh my gosh, girl, you deserve this. You deserve this. Now, it's very, very subtle, you guys. It's very subtle. But in that dialogue, in that communication, there's a break in rapport. There's a break in rapport because the sales call person has not truly listened to what that person just said. They bypassed what they are saying is their emotional experience. They kind of deflected and they didn't acknowledge it. And that person may end up buying from the cheerleader, but they might go into that client relationship with a little bit of reservation. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. I love seeing these comments. Yeah, that person might be a little bit nervous, right? They might be because they just heard that person say, I'm scared. I'm scared to make this investment. So they might not be trained in how to navigate that part of the conversation, or they just panic, or they're not seeing the client's experience through their eyes because they're not really paying attention to what the client is saying in the specific language that they're using. When we speak, we use language in a very interesting way because it's all very intentional. And when people speak, it's all a reflection of what's happening in their subconscious. So if you're doing sales calls with people, you've got to be paying really close attention to the specific words that they're saying, right? So the cheerleader, just a quick recap, has the best intentions, wants this person to do so well, believes in them, sees the vision for them, maybe more than they even see it for themselves, and maybe they get ahead of themselves and it becomes about their agenda and what they see and what they want for the client, as opposed to meeting the client where they are in that moment. In that moment of, I am scared to make this investment. I've never invested in myself at this level. Or if it's like something even, maybe it's not a money thing, right? Maybe it's, I'm scared to dive into this health and fitness program because I don't know if I'm going to be able to follow through because I've failed so many times before, right? When your people are saying things like this to you, you've got to have the tools to be able to validate them and make them feel seen, heard, and understood, because that is what makes a really empowering enrollment experience and a really empowering coaching experience. Let me know drop a 1 in the chat right now if this is resonating for you. Yes, AT Verma said agree. Love it. Okay, so let's dive into the second one. This one right here is the one that when I speak about it, people go, oh crap, Jen, that's me. That is me. So what would it look like? What would we call the person who does listen, and lays on the pressured pitch? I call this the yes person. Now, what's interesting about the yes person is they might have the best of intentions on the surface to serve the client. Maybe they're in a place where they haven't gotten a client yet and they just want to help somebody. Or maybe it's not as pure in their intentions and they're afraid of rejection. Or maybe they are getting on a call with somebody in their industry who they really admire, who they would love to have as a client. I know some of you guys are service providers, maybe copywriters, Facebook ads managers, and there's a client that you would love to work with. Well, that desire, that need of your own, this is where the yes person comes in, where that person's insecurity or desire or scarcity around, well, I need to sign a client this month, I need to make money, whoever I get on the phone with, I'm signing them no matter what. That's where the yes person comes in, because as a result, they say yes. They say, the client goes, oh, well, I see you have a podcast agency. We're really looking for somebody to do our podcast editing and to edit some reels for us and to make some IGTVs. Do you guys do that? And the person goes, yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. Even though they've never done it before and it's not their area of expertise, it's not their specialty. So they're saying yes because they don't want to lose the client, they don't want to lose the contract. And as a result, they end up spreading themselves and their teams really thin. They put themselves beyond capacity. They lose their area of specialization. And oftentimes, when we go into this yesing, we're actually not able to serve the client at the highest level. And maybe you've been this person on a sales call. Maybe you've experienced this from the client perspective, where you enrolled in something, where you invested in something, and it actually wasn't an aligned fit for you. So let me know in the chat if that resonates with you. If you're in that place right now where you can see where you've maybe been the yes person before. And I'm going to just check the Facebook comments real quick. Yeah. So some other things that can happen with the yes person is they're not in a completely empowered state on their sales call. And as a result, if they get somebody who is a potential client who is maybe testing boundaries, trying to negotiate, they may discount things. They may extend payment plans, even though it doesn't feel aligned. They might start customizing what the offer is, which, listen, if you do one-on-one or VIP days, and there is a level of customization to what you do in your offer, then of course, go for it. That's fine. I'm specifically in this example, in this context, I'm talking about the person who is saying yes, even though they know they cannot completely fulfill. And somebody once said to me, Jen, I feel really guilty telling somebody no. This person's in need and I don't want to leave them behind. And I said, that's really interesting. It's really interesting. Have you considered that by your feelings of guilt are actually preventing that person from getting the support they need? Right? Your feelings of guilt are preventing that person from really getting the support that they need. And wouldn't you feel more guilty if the person didn't get the result that they were looking to get, all because of your feelings of guilt? Like, isn't that a little bit selfish? So these are things that we want to be aware of. A great salesperson is going to own their boundaries. They're not going to be saying yes to every single client. And when it's not an aligned fit, they're going to tell them no. They're not going to try to razzle and dazzle them and add on bells and whistles just to get the yes. It's not going to become a pressured pitch, right? Is this making sense? Drop a 1 in the chat if you are resonating with what we're talking about right now. Okay, so this third piece here is somebody who does not listen and somebody who is giving a pressured pitch. Now this one is more obvious. You probably guessed it. This is the pushy salesperson. Now, the pushy salesperson is using manipulative tactics. They are probably reading from a robotic script. I think a lot of times sales calls or salespeople get the internal representation, the picture that people have about salespeople is the used car salesman avatar, this identity, right? Now, what's so interesting to me about this particular quadrant is that the majority of people who are actually currently in this quadrant hate selling. They hate it. And I've been there. That's been me. They feel miserable because it feels completely misaligned to them. And maybe they're in a place right now, maybe you're in a place right now where you've been looking for a way to more effectively sell on sales calls or in the DMs, via voice chat and audio chat. And you've been taught and convinced that the only way to sell is to be really pushy, really salesy, really sleazy, to aggressively overcome people's objections, to follow up with them 100 times. Okay, but real talk, I remember early on in my sales journey being told to read the book, Go for No. Go for No. And in the book, they detail the statistics about how certain salespeople will only follow up once or won't follow up at all, and that you got to follow up with a prospect 6 times. And I thought that was very strange. And there was this idea that it was never a no, it was just a no right now. And that's valid. However, the way that a lot of the people who were teaching those concepts in the circles that I was running in, it was really distorted, and they interpreted that as follow up 6 times in a matter of a month. And that was what was confusing, because I'm like, that then becomes borderline harassment. If they just told you no, like it is not the time or the season for them in their life right now, like take a hint, like it's okay if somebody says no. It's okay. There's a reality to that. Not every single objection needs to be overcome. Let me say that again. Not every single objection needs to be overcome. I think there's as marketers, it's like, oh, if you're not overcoming objections, you're not doing a good enough job. No. I'm all about navigating objections. Is there a deeper area of resistance, or is it just not a good match for the season of life that this person is in right now? Or is it just not an aligned fit for their goals and needs and desires? So when you're selling, especially one-to-one, you've got to have a level of not only integrity, but awareness around what types of, when you're on a sales call and you're asking really specific questions, you want to get clear on what types of answers you need to be listening for to know when that person is actually the qualified fit for the product, program, service, right? The offer that you have. And so of these 3, which one do you resonate with the most? Are you the cheerleader, pepping people up on calls? Are you the yes person? Do you get caught up in clients wanting discounts and you just start coaching them on the call? You start giving them advice. You start over-delivering because you just want them to like you, because you just want them to sign up? Or are you the pushy salesperson? Not by choice, but by circumstance at the moment of just a lack of training, right? So what would it look like if in this last quadrant, somebody who is fit, focused, and also does listen? Well, I call this the Transformational Facilitator. The Transformational Facilitator. And this person shows up to listen. They reflect back things that the client says. They have no problem telling the client no if they're not an aligned fit, right? I remember one time I had somebody refer a potential client to me, and she was this woman who was an influencer. She had like one or 2 line captions, had maybe a couple of brand deals, about over 100,000 followers on Instagram. It was all like fashion and makeup and wellness over 40. And we got on a call, and she wanted to potentially work together and hire me as a coach. And as I started asking her questions about what her goals were, what her desires were, what type of support she was looking for, it became very clear that it was not an aligned fit. She wanted to write a book for divorced women. I'm like, do you have an email list? Not of divorcees. do you post about it? Do you have a podcast? Like, no social media following. Like, really thought like, okay, my beauty following is going to want to buy this book. And maybe they did, but she wanted to do a whole thing with getting an editor and doing a whole book launch. And so by asking questions, we were both very clear by the end of the conversation, which was not a very long conversation, that it was not an aligned fit. And as in her form initially, she did say that she maybe wanted to do stuff with courses or programs. But as we really dug deeper and I asked the right questions on the call, we got really clear that that's actually not what she wanted to be doing at all. And I was able to very easily tell her, listen, I don't think I'm the right coach for you. That's not what I specialize in. And here's a couple of names of people that you can check out. If not them, they might have some people that they can recommend for, more specifically what you're looking for. So kind of taking a step back and looking at this, is this helpful for you guys to see some of these deeper inner workings of how maybe you're showing up on a sales call or even just a sell? Maybe you're not even doing sales calls or selling in the DMs, just showing up in sales conversations right now. It's super powerful, right? So when you are in this transformational facilitator quadrant, you're in a place where you are not only grounded in your energy, I call it empowered energy, you know your offer backwards and forwards, and you have a dialed in sales process, and you are masterfully executing and building your mastery around that sales process. But when we're missing one of those three things, it starts to fall apart a little bit. And so for those of you guys who are watching this, who are excited about what we're talking about, I go a lot deeper inside my program, Success with Sales Calls. I'm going to teach you those three parts: the energetic, empowered energetics, the dialed in sales call process, my brain-based sales call process, and also how to create a heck yes offer. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can check it all out at heyjencasey.com/sales-calls. We've got that linked up in my Instagram bio, and we'll post it for you guys on Facebook as well. We're also going to be doing some sales calls just over today. We close enrollment tomorrow. So if that's something that you're interested in, send me a DM right now. I'm telling you right now, we can hop on a call. We can see if it's a fit very, very quickly. And then if it is, great. If not, also great. Like, it's all good. So thank you guys so much for being here for this little mini training. I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll talk to you soon. Have an amazing day.